in the distant future, humanity had spread across the stars. After countless adventures, they had encountered many alien civilizations, each unique and remarkable, but unexpected changes were brewing, making the galactic community shift. Captain Alara Nash was aboard the Starship Horizon, a sleek, shining vessel with the latest technology. She was known for her fierce determination and exceptional skills in diplomacy. Alara had her crew, a small yet talented group. Dr. Theo Lin, the ship's brilliant scientist, Jax, the agile pilot with humor that lifted spirits, and Lila, a tech whiz who was always one step ahead with any gadget. Together, they explored new worlds, eager to learn and share their knowledge. One day, they received a mysterious distress signal from a planet named Thera 9. The signal was weak and intermittent, but the urgency pierced the vast silence of space. Captain Alara made a decision to investigate, and the crew quickly prepared the ship for landing. As they descended onto Thera 9, they marveled at its beauty. Sapphire ocean sparkled under a golden sun, and thick jungles filled with vibrant flora kissed the shores. But the beauty was deceiving. As they stepped onto the soft sand, they noticed signs of destruction. Buildings lay in ruins, and deep scars marked the once green landscape. Something terrible happened here, Dr. Theo observed, examining the debris. The crew could sense the weight of sadness and despair around them. They set out to find the source of the distress signal. The crew walked through the remnants of a once great city. Strange symbols adorned the walls, hinting at forgotten civilization. They soon came upon an ancient temple. It was the heart of the city, and the signal was stronger there. As they entered, the atmosphere shifted. A deep hum reverberated through the walls. Alara motioned for silence as they ventured inside. What they found made their hearts race. A group of frail beings huddled together in a corner. They were Theronians, the planet's original inhabitants, their skin a shimmering blue, and their eyes glowed with fear and sadness. "Why did you come?" "Everyone else left us." A Theronian named Eris spoke, trembling. His voice was soft yet filled with weight. Alara noticed his gaze, filled with both hope and despair. It was clear that they had been abandoned by other civilizations. "We received your distress signal," Alara explained gently. "We want to help you." Eris looked at her with disbelief. "Help? No one has ever helped us." They all turned away when the war came. Dr. Theo stepped forward. "What war? What happened here?" Eris hesitated, then spoke of the Galactic Coalition, a group formed by many advanced civilizations. At first, they promised to help the Theronians defend their planet. But when the fighting got fierce one by one, they withdrew their support, leaving the Theronians to face their enemies alone. The Coalition feared the war would spread to their worlds. Alara felt a pang of guilt. It was true. Many civilizations had turned away from helpful acts, frightened by the consequences. But she knew they could not abandon the Theronians too. "We will stay," she declared firmly. "We will help you rebuild and restore peace." Lila, always quick to analyze tech, looked at the technology surrounding them. "I can help you with your defenses. If we can restore your systems, we can protect your planet." The Theronians' eyes widened with new hope. Days turned into weeks. The horizon became a hub of activity. The crew worked tirelessly, transforming the ancient temple into a learning center. They brought in supplies, shared knowledge, and taught the Theronians ways to fortify their cities. Jax often shared stories of space exploration, bringing laughter and joy amidst the hard work. As the Theronians gained strength, a new sense of unity developed among them. They embraced their culture, and with the crew's help, learned to adapt and defend. They created advanced technologies by combining their knowledge with the crew's innovations. Despite their progress, darkness loomed. A rival faction, the Vornak, who had been watching the Theronians from afar, decided it was time to strike. They craved the resources of Thera 9 and sought to take it by force. The Theronians were terrified, but Alara stood resolute. "We've come too far to back down now," she said, addressing her crew and their new friends. "They might have numbers, but we have knowledge, strategy, and the will to defend our home." The day of the battle arrived. The sky darkened as the Vornak ships descended. The Theronians, having learned weaponry and tactics, moved into their positions. Ilera commanded the defenses from the horizon. They mixed the Theronians' natural abilities with the ship's advanced technology, creating an unexpected line of defense. The fight was intense. The air shook with blasts, and the ocean roared. With each wave of attacks, the Theronians fought bravely, spirits ignited by their newfound strength. Dr. Theo monitored the battlefield, guiding the Theronians on how to counter the enemy's strategies. Jax flew the horizon to the thick of the battle, using his incredible skills to dodge enemy fire while supporting ground forces. Lilo worked at the center, hacking into the Vornak systems, always a step ahead, and finding weak points to exploit. As the battle raged on, it seemed like defeat was near until Eris rallied his fellow Theronians. Look around. We have fought for our home, for our future. We are not alone. We stand together, he shouted, igniting a fierce determination in their hearts. Finally, with their combined efforts, they pushed back the Vornak, forcing them to retreat. Cheers erupted across the battlefield. The Theronians had defended their home against impossible odds, and they did it with the help of humanity. After the battle, the sun rose brightly over Theron 9. The planet was scarred but free. The crew of the Horizon was celebrated as heroes. Ilera felt pride swell within her. The bond they forged with the Theronians had created something strong. With a renewed sense of purpose, Ilera and her crew pledged to help the Theronians rebuild. They didn't just protect the civilization. They gave them hope and the courage to stand against adversity. As they left Theron 9, the stars twinkled brightly, a reminder of the unity that could exist in the universe when beings chose to protect one another, not just for themselves, but for every life that deserved a chance. And so, the Horizon sailed onward, its crew ever ready to forge new alliances, soaring through the cosmos, guided by the lesson they learned on Theron 9, that when civilizations turn away, humanity could choose to stand tall and protect those in need. In the year 2245, humanity had spread across the stars. After centuries of scientific advancements, new technologies, and the hard lessons from their own past, Earth was no longer alone. They interacted with many alien civilizations, learning about each one's culture and beliefs. Yet, surprisingly, many of these civilizations had chosen to turn away from others in need, following a history of conflict and betrayal that led them to distrust any form of intervention. On the vibrant planet of Zeltra, the home of the peaceful Zeltarians, a dire crisis had emerged. Their planet was facing a cataclysmic event. A giant asteroid was on a collision course with Zeltra. It would destroy the planet in a matter of weeks. The Zeltarians, known for their wisdom and peaceful nature, reached out to Galactic Council, a governing body composed of various alien races that had worked to maintain peace in the universe. However, when the Zeltarians begged for aid, many civilizations chose to ignore their plight. Fear and mistrust ran deep. The Gorans, known for their ruthless nature, argued that helping the Zeltarians could bring chaos to the region. The Buroks, an insect-like race, were more concerned about their own territorial expansion than the fate of a single planet. Each civilization turned away, leaving the Zeltarians to face their fate alone. Back on Earth, a spacecraft named the Hope Star was captained by a brave young woman named Aisha. With her dark hair and fierce determination, she had a heart that burned for those in need. She believed in unity and compassion, even when others stepped back. Alongside her was a diverse crew. Leo, a brilliant engineer with sharp intellect and a kind smile. Talia, a fearless pilot who could navigate through any storm. And Rico, a wise medic who had seen the best and worst of the universe. One evening, while seated in the command room of the Hope Star, Aisha received the urgent plea from the Zeltarians. As they spoke of their world's fate, she felt her heart ache. She turned to her crew. "We cannot sit by while they die. We must help." "But Captain," Leo said cautiously, "the Galactic Council has advised against interfering. Many civilizations will turn against us." "Then let them turn against us," Aisha replied fiercely. "We have to do what is right." The crew nodded, aware of the risks, but also knowing Aisha's strength and resolve. They plotted their course for Zeltra, determined to save the planet and its inhabitants. As they arrived at the beautiful blue-green planet, the reality of what they faced hit them hard. The skies were clear, but dark shadows loomed in the distance. A massive asteroid could be seen heading toward the vibrant surface. Aisha felt a wave of urgency wash over her. Gathering the Zeltarians in a grand hall, Aisha stood before them, surrounded by her crew. "We are here to help you." The room filled with murmurs. The Zeltarians were a gentle people, and they had feared no one would care for their planet. Aisha continued, "We will need your knowledge of the asteroid. Together, we can create a plan to divert it." The Zeltarian leader, Elder Kylon, stepped forward. His tall and slender form radiated calmness. "But how can you help? We have tried and failed to stop this disaster." Talia interjected, "We have technology that can help us. With your wisdom and our resources combined, we might be able to save Zeltra." Encouraged, the Zeltarians opened up their archives, showing the crew everything they knew about the asteroid's path. Leo began analyzing the data, using his skills to formulate a plan. The team worked tirelessly, day and night, collaborating with the Zeltarians. Time was running out. Aisha led the crew in a meeting as the asteroid was now visible from the surface. "We need to act fast," she said. "We can use explosives to change its trajectory, but we must work together. Trust us as we trust you." As the team outlined their final plan, the Zeltarians offered their own unique technology. They had developed a method to create a focused energy beam, which could amplify the impact of the explosives. Trust built between the Zeltarians and the crew of the Hope Star, and a powerful bond began to form as they united for a common cause. The day of the operation arrived. The skies darkened as the asteroid loomed overhead. With Talia piloting the ship close to the asteroid's surface, Leo and Rico set up the explosives while Zeltarian technicians prepared their energy beam. Aisha communicated with the Zeltarian representatives below, guiding them through the crucial steps. "Ready?" Leo said, his hands shaking with excitement. "Now!" Aisha shouted as the crew initiated the countdown. With the explosive detonated, the asteroid trembled. The blast, combined with the energy beam, sent shockwaves. They watched in awe as the asteroid began to veer away from the planet, creating a narrow escape from destruction. Cheers erupted from both the crew and the Zeltarians as they saw the asteroid move into a safe path. Elder Kylon approached Aisha, his eyes shining with gratitude. "You have saved us. Your bravery will not be forgotten." Once the immediate threat was over, Aisha and her crew reflected on the experience. They had placed faith in the Zeltarians and chose to help despite the warnings. They had rewritten their destiny, proving that compassion could overcome fear. As the Hope Star prepared to leave Zeltra, Aisha knew that their actions would echo through the cosmos. In a galaxy where many chose isolation and distrust, they had chosen protect. The bonds they formed with the Zeltarians were a reminder that together, even across different worlds, they could forge a brighter future. In the vastness of space, Aisha looked out at the stars, feeling hopeful. They had made a difference, and now they would continue their journey to help others in need, knowing that humanity had a role to play as protectors, even when others turned away. Here is a story as requested. The year is 2342. Humanity, having spread among the stars, wasn't the biggest or strongest species in the galactic community, but they were known for one thing: their relentless empathy. So, when the first distress signal came from the Zetharians, a species so alien, they made humans feel like they were staring at living fractals. Everyone expected humanity to help. Captain Eva Rostov of the Dauntless, a mid-sized exploration vessel, received the order: proceed to Zetharian space, investigate distress signal, offer assistance. The message was simple, direct, and filled with the quiet expectation that humanity always carried. The Zetharian system was a chaotic swirl of nebulae and rogue asteroids. Approaching the Zetharian homeworld, Xylos, Rostova felt a chill despite the ship's internal temperature regulators. Xylos was dying. Great scars of purple blight spread across its surface, consuming everything. Scans indicated complete ecosystem collapse. Jen, the ship's science officer, reported, his voice grim. "Atmosphere is toxic. Radiation levels are spiking. It's like nothing I've ever seen." As they approached the planet, they received a transmission. It wasn't a language Rostova recognized, but the universal distress code was clear. They locked onto the signal, pinpointing its origin: a massive, crystalline structure in the heart of the blight. "Captain, I'm picking up multiple life signs within the structure," Jen said, his brow furrowed. "But they're fading fast." Rostova didn't hesitate. "Prepare an away team. We're going in." The away team consisted of Rostova, Jen, the security officer Marcus, and the ship's doctor Lena. They wore environment suits adapted to withstand extreme conditions. Landing near the crystalline structure, they were met with a scene of utter devastation. The air crackled with energy, and the ground was littered with the crystallized remains of what Rostova assumed were Zetherian plants. The crystalline structure hummed with an eerie energy. As they entered, they found themselves in a vast chamber filled with Zetherians. They were unlike anything Rostova had imagined. Their bodies were composed of shifting geometric shapes, constantly changing color. They communicated through light and sound, creating intricate patterns that shimmered in the air. But these patterns were weak, fading. The Zetherians were dying. One of them approached Rostova, its form flickering erratically. It projected a series of images into Rostova's mind, visions of Xylos as a lush paradise, then the arrival of a strange, parasitic entity that fed on the planet's energy, turning it into the blighted wasteland they saw now. "They're saying that this parasite came from another dimension," Jen translated, his voice strained. "It's feeding on the planet's life force, converting it into energy that it can use to sustain itself. Can we stop it?" Rostova asked. The Zetherian projected another image, a complex equation, a formula for a counterfrequency that could disrupt the parasite's energy field. But the formula was incomplete. They hadn't had time to finish it before the blight consumed them. Rostova looked at her team. "Lena, what's the prognosis?" Lena shook her head. "Without intervention, they'll be dead within hours. The parasite is too far advanced." Marcus, ever the pragmatist, spoke up. "Captain, with all due respect, this planet is a lost cause. We should evacuate and report back to command." Rostov understood his logic. Xylos was dying, and the Zetherians were on the brink of extinction. It would be safer, smarter, to leave. Every other species in the galactic community would have done exactly that, but Rostova wasn't every other species. She was human. "We stay," she said, her voice firm. "We helped them finish that equation." The next few hours were a desperate race against time. Jen worked tirelessly, analyzing the Zetherian data, filling in the gaps in the equation. Lena did her best to stabilize the Zetherians, using what medical technology they had to slow the parasite's progress. Marcus, meanwhile, set up a perimeter, guarding against any potential threats. Rostova worked with the Zetherians, learning their language of light and sound, understanding their science. She was amazed by their ingenuity, their understanding of the universe. They were so different, yet they shared the same desire, to survive. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Jen shouted, "I've got it! I've completed the equation." He fed the data into the dauntless main computer, which began generating the counterfrequency. The crystalline structure hummed louder as the frequency reached its peak. The purple blight outside began to recede, the crystallized plants returning to life. But the parasite wasn't going down without a fight. It unleashed a wave of energy, a desperate attempt to protect itself. The crystalline structure shook violently, and cracks appeared in its walls. "The structure can't handle the strain," Marcus yelled. "We need to evacuate." But Rostova stood her ground. "We're not leaving until we're sure it's dead." The Dauntless fired the counterfrequency weapon, a beam of pure energy that struck the heart of the parasite. The creature shrieked, a sound that echoed in Rostova's mind, filled with rage and despair. Then silence. The blight receded completely, revealing the vibrant green surface of Xylos beneath. The Zetherians pulsed with renewed energy, their light patterns stronger, more vibrant than before. They had done it. They had saved Xylos. As the Dauntless prepared to leave, Rostova received a final transmission from the Zetherians. It was a complex series of light patterns, a message of gratitude and respect. "They're calling us the saviors of Xylos," Jen translated, a hint of pride in his voice. "They say they will never forget our kindness." Back on the Dauntless, Rostova looked out at the restored planet. It was a beautiful sight, a testament to the power of empathy and determination. She knew that what they had done here would not go unnoticed. The galactic community would be watching, wondering why humanity had risked everything to save a species that everyone else had abandoned. And she knew what she would tell them. Because that's what humans do. The Dauntless jumped to hyperspace, leaving Xylos behind. But the memory of the Zetharians, their vibrant light patterns, their desperate struggle for survival, would stay with Rostova forever. She knew that humanity had made a statement, a declaration that they would always stand up for those in need, no matter how alien, no matter how hopeless the situation seemed. And as they journeyed deeper into the unknown, Rostova knew that humanity's reputation as the empathetic species would only grow stronger, one rescued civilization at a time. Because in the vast, cold expanse of space, sometimes all it took to make a difference was a little bit of human kindness.